It has been 6 long weeks. 6 weeks of not getting out with the camera, no landscape photography, just rest, recovery and no heavy lifting. After all that time away, I can honestly begin to explain how good it feels to say this, but today I finally get to head back out. It feels really good to be parked up and ready to head out on another adventure with the camera. It has been far too long. It has probably felt longer than what it actually was, but don't you feel that's always the case when you're excited for something? Time, for some reason, it always just seems to slow down a little bit. It's going to be a nice, easy trip out with the camera today. I don't want to push myself too far too soon, you see. All those weeks of sitting at home, recovering from surgery. If I try and do too much too soon, all that hard work is going to be undone. And it's going to get to the point where I'm going to have to get that surgery done all over again. And of course, that is the last thing that we want to have to put up with. On the plus side, we're pretty much into spring now. We get the benefits of being out of winter into spring. So let's see what we can go and find with the camera. Being back for spring, that was the most important thing with my surgery, not the recovery, not the fact that everything would be okay. It was just, oh, I want to make sure that I'm back out with the camera in springtime. Of course, this is probably one of my 2 favourite times of the year. The other being autumn when you get the cloud inversions. Springtime though, it's of course when the woodland comes into bloom. It's when you get colour in the world. The bluebells, the wild garlic coming out into the world for a little while. I actually did a little bit of exercise last couple of weeks. Went out to the woods just with the camera and nothing else. Just to see if the bluebells were coming into bloom. Nothing quite yet though, but I don't think it can be far away. If I'm being honest though, it's around this time last year where something started to feel not quite right. I was out walking the South Downs and I always like getting out, going walking. The camera's a nice extension. I've always been one to exercise. But going walking that day and something just felt uncomfortable. And being me, which is what I shouldn't do, I brushed it off. Never do that, of course. But the reason I brushed it off was because I had a lot to look forward to last year. I was, of course, going down to Cornwall. I was going to the Lake District in September, and I knew what the problem was. The last couple of years, I've had a hernia. So when I went back to the doctors in October, I knew that it would be the hernia that I'd need to be getting repaired, that I knew would be putting me out of action. So since October, my life has been a little bit frustrating because I knew about the 6 weeks recovery, like I said, but I didn't want to leave any gaps in the content that I produce for YouTube. Now this was a personal choice. I could have gone radio silent, not produced anything, but I didn't want to do that. Kind of a mistake in a way, because what it meant was I needed to get 6 weeks ahead of myself. It meant a lot of hard work, but with a miserable winter where it was raining constantly, I was having to force myself to go out when perhaps I didn't really want to. Take my trip out to Essex, for example, which in fact was the last time I went out with the camera. It was supposed to be a really nice day, the day that I went up there for the first time, and this was a trip I had to cancel 4 times because of rain that showed up on the forecast unexpectedly. So when I finally got up there, it was like, yeah, great, finally. Fortunately, an unexpected shower turned up, so I got soaked still. And even then, because it had been so wet over the previous weeks, you're kind of slipping your way through treacherous mud, trying not to fall over. And I was so muddy, by the time I got home, I had to jump straight into the shower. I mean, days like that out with the camera, there's nothing enjoyable about that. In some ways, the 6-week break has done me the world of good. It's allowed me to take a break from getting out with the camera. It comes a point where you start thinking to yourself, your creativity is taking a little bit of a hit because you're forcing yourself to get out. When you think to yourself, do I really want to, given how miserable winter has been? On the flip side, it's been a little bit frustrating because, like I say, I knew since October that I needed the surgery. So since October, my life felt on hold, not knowing when the surgery would be, not knowing when I'd need to take the 6-week break. So with all of that out of the way, I can get on with my life again. Today though, it's all about keeping things nice and local. After all, I don't want to overdo it. At my first week back getting out with the camera, I'm racing though between 2 nice and local locations. For sunrise this morning, I've come down to the river in my hometown, capturing one of my favourite cityscapes out here to get some nice colour as some backdrop. I've missed getting out for sunrise, I must admit. I've got the 15 to 30mm on the front of the lens, get everything into the shot. I've got the bridge over on the left, I've got the cathedral dead centre, and then we've got the castle over on the right. Settings for this shot, they couldn't be more simple. I'm at ISO 100 f8 and at 30 seconds with my shutter. I've got my 6-stop ND filter on the front of the lens. Nice and calm out here this morning, but there's a little bit of motion on the river. I want that nice, milky smooth water effect. I was hoping to get a little bit of a reflection with the castle, with the cathedral, but that's not going to be the case. Instead, I've got a lovely light show going on. What a morning to get back out with the camera. It's good to be back.